step into the haunted halls of Spooky School. Each week, we take the fearless Jimmy on a journey through uncharted horror territory as we introduce him to spine-tingling movies he's never seen before. Beware, dear listeners, for the chilling tales we unravel may leave you sleeping with the lights on. Here are your hosts, Professor Spooky and Jimmy.
No relation to Sting.
No relation.
No.
Good to see you again.
Good to see you too.
Just happy to be back.
Yeah. We're first day in the new studio and it's looking sick.
It's looking pretty good around here, isn't it?
Yeah. I mean, you got lots of H.P. Lovecraft artwork. You got all sorts of spooky materials.
Just some light reading, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you have a better charge of your classroom than most public school teachers.
That's because I have a budget and they don't.
Yeah.
Well, we are officially podcasters. At this point, we are online.
Online. And this will be episode 5.
Semester 2, so we're going to say episode 1 to get all those sick clicks of people.
Cool. Yeah.
But this is our second season, if you can believe it.
Season El Duce. Mm-hmm. Wow, we've really stepped up from the first season to the next season.
We really have.
This is a glow up, to say the least.
To say the least, to come this far already. Yeah. We've gone from your living room to the Spooky Studio, so I like it a lot here.
Yeah.
The feedback has been tremendous. We cannot thank you enough for everybody who's been watching, commenting, all that nice stuff.
Thank you.
We're still very new, so we need all the support we can get.
I got mailed a couple of bras. That was new.
I was going to say, just being podcasters already, I've been recognized everywhere I go.
I get free drinks at Starbucks now.
Exactly.
Only one Starbucks, but it's because I held them up at gunpoint. But
same.
I get.
I was going to say, I get free drinks too. That's because I run away as soon as I get the drink. But.
Yeah.
So we launched. The support here has been amazing.
Yeah.
I do have some comments here written by enthusiastic women, to say the least, and just to kind of go through and kind of show really what it's like for how hard it is for men to be in the podcasting space. So shut up. So I want to just go through these real quick because it is kind of, I really wish people would appreciate us and what we have to say.
Yeah.
And not just kind of like sexualize us just because we're hot dudes making a podcast.
It's really weird that they're just not respecting our words for what they are.
They're
digging into something deeper that may not even be there. I mean, I'm a taken man personally.
So the comments have been pretty nice. Love seeing the behind the scenes stuff. That's what we're here for. All these kind of things, right? And then we got this one that says, I can't stop paying attention to this show. All I can fantasize about is these two spit roasting me all night until my body gives out. And I appreciate the enthusiasm, but it's just a little much, right?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, that's a public school education right there.
Exactly.
Everyone knows it's the Eiffel Tower.
Well, that's only if you high five. Then it makes the tower. But when you're making just a regular H, then it's a spit roast. The next comment here says, Jimmy is so cute. Which one do you think has the bigger dick hole?
Big dick hole?
A lot of these are about our dick holes. It's kind of weird. Yeah, so it says here, Joseph has such a submissive voice. I bet he would love taking my sounding rod deep into the bass. And I had to look that up, and I don't want to ever see that word ever again. That kind of fucked me up a little bit.
I don't know what it is, and I don't want to know.
I also don't know this one either. I think it's like a marijuana thing.
Okay.
This one says, ladies, anyone else thinking about some CBT? I don't. Do you know what that stands for?
No, I mean it might be related to CBD, but
yeah, that's the
general thought.
The
general cannabis.
Just Google that real quick.
Or cheap.
Oh my God.
Oh, is it not weed related?
It stands for fucking ball torture. Okay. All right. Well, that's nice of you.
I learned today that I'm elementary.
This one here says, like this comment if you want to get DP'd by Spooky School, and it has over 500 likes.
Damn.
This one is really weird. There's like a little timestamp, and it says at 23:34, Jimmy raises his arm and you can see his pit. He talks about being married, but I hope they have some sort of open arrangement going on. I need to sniff his armpits before I die. I could make a mattress out of that man's pit. Just the thought of him coming home sweaty after a long day and me curling up to his rinking pits makes me feral.
They do stink, dude. I'm sorry.
I don't know how they come up with this.
It's August out here, man.
Exactly. Yeah. So we're extra stinky.
Yeah.
This one reads 10 minutes with me and I'll have Joseph begging for a pegging. This one.
Is that a children's book, Begging for a Peg?
I think that's how conservatives in Florida think all children's books are like. Yeah.
Gotta burn them all.
Yeah, exactly. This one was kind of weird. This one just says, I've never wanted two men to be uncircumcised in my life. I don't know why they have to like fetishize us like that, you know?
No. And how did they know?
Exactly, yeah.
I mean, yeah, being born in America, it's a good chance, but not everyone.
This one's pretty straightforward. It just says, fuck a Patreon. We want you on OnlyFans posting whole.
Oh, wow.
So give it
They
a
went
few
straight
years.
for it. Yeah, I mean, like, I don't need it right now, but in 20 years, if I'm not driving some type of douchebag car, like, I'm gonna do whatever I
we got to
can for
stay
it.
relevant
Yeah.
somehow, yeah.
Give me the New Balances, give me the Corvette, give me the mid-engine one, and I don't care if you gotta pay a monthly fee that isn't
I'll be
Patreon
spreading
for
cheeks for that.
it. Yeah.
I'll be doing anything that isn't for a bus pass at this point. So those are just some select comments that we've been getting. Again, we appreciate everybody wanting to be a part of the show and participating, so thank you.
Any
But-
type of enthusiasm is good, so thanks.
Thank you. But again, like, can you just like stop posting about our dick holes? I would really appreciate that.
Or move it to OnlyFans when we open it
when
up.
we finally do
OnlyFans.com
open one, yes.
/spooky school.
Spooky School. I think it
But
would
the O's are tits.
we should do something like that, but then when you go there, it's like nothing but like biblical scripture.
That's not a bad idea,
Yeah.
actually, because really everyone that would go on there would need Jesus.
Pretty much.
So-
Like, I don't know. I think a lot about how there's no real like trolling anymore. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because you know how there's all these like right wing like knockoffs of Twitter.
Oh yeah. Like there's like True Social, and then I don't know if it's necessarily right wing or not, but I know a lot of right winger people that speak up. There's that other like podcasting host site where you could say whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like,
How come we don't just flood these things with bots that just post like Marxism stuff?
I mean, that's not a bad idea, but Marxism is like too tame. I think we're gonna have to do anime naked chicks talking in a very sexy but obviously AI voice about Marxism, and that's honestly how
And
you
then
change
upload
the
that to
population.
YouTube Kids.
Yeah. Well, it's already on there.
It's already on there.
Yeah,
Have it
like-
start normal, right?
Yeah.
But first it's like A, B, C, and then 10 minutes later it'd be like, you know who else loves the alphabet? Karl Marx. And you know what he wants for you? Free housing. I think that's how communism works. I'm not too sure. Hey, this is a horror movie podcast.
You know what's super communistical?
That's my favorite word. That's a real one. Yeah.
Like, you know what's super communistical? Not the way people split horror movie profits.
Exactly.
Like,
Except for us, comrade. 50-50. Way to go.
50-50. Till we make a movie, dude. That shit's going to be 90-10.
Exactly.
Like,
That's going to be 100 and you good luck.
Spooky School Studios. Check out our first movie. Coming around the block.
So we are now moving on to J-horror. We
J-horror,
did
yeah.
slashers already.
Yep.
And so
That
now
was a
we're
fun
moving
one.
on to what I can only describe as the exact polar opposite tone-wise and theme-wise of slashers is J-horror.
Yeah.
And I wanted you to watch... I'm not going to say yet how I really feel about this movie because I
Okay.
don't want it to influence the conversation one way or another.
All right.
But I made you watch a very standout title called Ringu.
Yes.
At least that's how it's like printed on boxes here in the U.S. I'm pretty
Yeah.
sure the movie's just called Ring over in Japan.
Is it really?
I think so, yeah.
That's really funny. Yeah. Because even Googling it here on American internet, it's, I type in the ring, nothing about the Japanese movie comes
Mhm.
up. But Ringu, top one.
Top one.
Was that our bad? Sorry, guys.
I probably.
Yeah.
I mean, I know that like for
Not-
sure the series is just called Ring. Like
Okay.
when the books first came out, it was called Ring. The original movie was called Ring.
Is
and
it
then
by a
here-
Japanese author?
Yeah.
Nice.
Kojo Suzuki, who just conveniently. Oh, look at this.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow. I feel like a Home Shopping Network host.
Yeah.
For the low, low price of I'm never giving you this.
Yeah, instead of Martha Stewart, you're Martha Slaughter.
Exactly. Hell yeah. Yeah, forget Professor Spooky. I'm Martha Slaughter from now on.
There you go.
There we go.
Yeah, like, I'm not eating your cookies.
Good, because you're going to be in my cookies.
Yeah, that's what I'm worried about.
So
Yeah, I
made
watched
you
The
watch
Ring.
Ring.
Yeah.
Ringu. The
Ringu.
Ring. Whatever. We're just going to call it Ring from
We're
now
gonna call
on.
it The
Or
Ring,
The
and
Ring.
we're gonna mean 100% of the time the Japanese version. I've not seen the American version, but I can tell you that the Japanese version f***ing rules.
Japanese
So,
version's fucking amazing.
Yeah.
I will say, I think mainly for nostalgic reasons, I do love the American version.
Okay, I
'Cause
obviously haven't seen it yet, but
The American version was the first horror movie I was able to like sit through.
okay.
Mainly because it really wasn't like all that scary. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
like when I was a little kid, it was really hard for me to be able to actually watch like horror movies without being terrified.
Yeah, it's how I am right now.
Yeah,
That's-
exactly. But growing up, I think like Ring came out, or yeah, The Ring, the American version came out, and when I had to be like 11 or 12,
Okay.
and we rented it on VHS, and that was the first horror movie I was able to like get through, beginning to end, and was transfixed the entire time.
Okay.
How it stands up now, I'm not too sure. However, there is a special place in my heart for that movie, solely for nostalgic reasons.
Yeah.
Growing up, I realized that The Ring is based off of a Japanese film. And that was my gateway drug into J-horror, where once I got into it, the floodgates were open.
It
And-
was all she wrote.
It was all she wrote. And that's pretty much my favorite subgenre, I would say, is because like the movies that have come out from Japan, especially the horror films, are so, I don't want to say better, but they terrify me in a completely different way.
I'm really excited to divulge more into this, not only from after watching Ringu and have just. We'll get into it later, but this movie really did blow my mind in a couple of different aspects.
Okay, good.
And then what was or what also is cool is like we've been friends for quite some time now, but we've started the podcast is a recent talking endeavor in both of ours like overall long relationship. But your love of Japanese horror is something that I've known for almost the entire time that I've known you as well.
Yep.
And so I'm excited to really dig into this because I'm sorry, call me a simpleton. I am. Look at my Hawaiian shirt and t-shirt with a car on it. All right.
That is a sick car.
Thanks, dude. Toyota rules. Actually speaking about Japan, it's a great
Yeah,
shit. Yeah,
Japanese cars, Japanese movies, hell yeah.
Like, but I am not one to watch a movie with subtitles. And so watching this, like, it wasn't hard. Like, obviously, I can.
Oh,
read
reading
better.
wasn't hard.
No.
Oh, okay, good.
Yeah. But I just haven't done it. Like, I have a bunch of friends that. Sorry, Aaron, I haven't seen the original Gundam yet because I turned it on and then there's no English dub, and I said next time. But this, I was here for the whole time.
Okay, we're gonna do a little, just a little test here. Let's
Uh-huh.
see. On, I think your shelf,
Yeah.
there should be a book.
Battle Royale. I have that movie.
Is there? No. Okay, this is called Cows by Matthew Stokoe.
Okay. Any relation to Matthew Stafford?
Probably sure.
Football jokes getting in fault.
I'm gonna make you just read so that way you can get used to it. But I want to find the part where a guy splits open a cow and starts fucking it. Actually, you know what? We'll pass on that for now. Let's get back into this movie discussion. I'm just gonna pass over the urge to bully you right now. You really can't do subtitles? No, dog, you're lying, right? This has changed now.
It's not that I can't do subtitles. It's that, it's like if you lived in New York and you were like, oh, I can get to work on a subway or I can walk there. I'm going to take the subway every time.
All right.
You know what I mean?
I guess
Yeah.
that kind of makes sense, sure.
Yeah. But listen, it's really only because the amount of free time in my week has withered away. And so when I do watch something, not all the time for this podcast is different. I sit down with notes and do the whole watch. But when I'm home, I'll throw something on and then I'm always doing something else. And so if there's no English option to also sit and watch the movie, like no.
I think this says more about our culture than it does you. So I'm not going to be mad at you.
Yeah.
However, I would like to remind you and everybody watching who might agree with you, movies are meant to be watched with your eyes. You're
Yeah.
not supposed to put them on for background noise as you do other shit.
No, but I haven't eaten. I gotta cook for myself.
And to
I'm gonna
throw
do
it
all
all
these
back,
things.
it's
I'm
not
gonna
your
get-
fault. It's capitalism's fault. Hail Karl Marx. Hell yeah. We're going to move on because I'm going to get so unbelievably triggered and just make fun of you this entire time.
Yeah. So I got shit to do during the week, man.
So the So the movie. I'm glad you liked it. It was
Yeah,
amazing, and hopefully it will help you get over the boundary of subtitles.
Yeah,
Especially since I'm going to make you watch Old Boy here pretty soon.
Well, this whole thing, I already have like this is a lot of reading, and all just this has nothing to do with reading. Just personally, I'm terrible with names in movies and real life and everything. Like I am the type of person that if I don't like say your name 3 times and immediately try and like group it onto something, I don't know your name.
And it's got to be even harder with characters, especially in movies where you already speak the language. But now,
Yeah,
with foreign names, it's got to be even harder. Good thing I wrote down everybody's names.
yeah.
So let's just kind of delve into it here. And watching it again for this one, I did notice a lot of small, interesting things, right? The tone of this movie really changes between the first time you've seen it and like after you've seen it again.
I noticed some tonal differences just as far as like it didn't feel like a horror movie for most of it, and then like it just kind of like etches in a little bit of like this here and there, but then it just feels almost more like a like a mystery, because it is.
It is, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I love about it, is that not only is it a mystery, but there's this, it's brilliant use of a clicking or a ticking clock, because time is running out the entire film.
Yeah.
And shit keeps happening to the characters that's going to make them waste their time. Let's delve into it beat by beat.
Yeah.
I just noticed watching this again was this amazing opening of the opening credits, where it starts off with like this really somber, like just vision of the ocean.
Yeah.
And then it crossfades into static. And the first time you watch it, right, it's just kind of like, oh, that's a cool, relaxing intro. But knowing what the movie's about going into it, it was so cool seeing like these are just 2 shots, right?
Yeah.
But it says everything about the film.
The amount of callbacks is awesome.
Yeah,
It
it
is
says
so cool.
everything about it, because it starts off with like it's this brutal nature. There's nothing like more basically unstoppable than the ocean
Dude.
and water.
Yeah.
And that's a brutal force of nature, but it crossfades into analog technology with the static, which are the
good
big
point.
2 themes of the movie, right?
Yeah.
We go on to what I have to say is probably one of the best opening scenes ever of any movie. It's just these 2 girls, they're watching a baseball game together, they're gossiping, and then one of them mentions an evil tape.
Yeah.
Now, I have said before, I'm not really a big fan of like exposition, but this is done so well that it doesn't feel like exposition. It feels like a really natural conversation, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and especially the fear in man, I'm blanking on her names, but the fear in the
We actually don't get their names until really later on in the scene. So there's Tomoko,
Oh, okay.
and she will be important later on, and then her friend Masami.
Tokumo was the one when Masami was explaining the lore of this strange videotape. You could just see everything in her face, like, oh, she knows. Not only does she know exactly what she's on about, but she messed up somewhere.
Yep.
She-
So yeah, it's Masami who's explaining the rules of the tape, and then Tomoko is just kind of sitting there like, "This ain't funny. I've seen that shit. I know
Yeah.
exactly what you're talking about."
Yeah.
And I got a phone call saying I was gonna die.
yeah.
Yeah.
Which the ringtones in this movie made me change my like I actually went in and I don't know if you can do this on iPhone, but on Google you can save random sounds and like make it whatever you want.
Oh, cool.
And I actually like went and took snippets of all my songs and then put the MP3 out format just so I didn't have any more of those generic ringtone sounds after this movie,
Right.
because I'm like
Nope, good enough
no,
for me.
someone calls me, I get a jam. I don't get a ding ding ding. Get out of here.
That'll be great. Yeah, just like your favorite song playing when Sadako goes to call you.
Yeah.
telling you you're gonna die.
Yeah.
But here's where the rules are laid out. And I think this does such a great job because every iconic monster that I can think of has like a rule set, pretty much, right?
Yeah.
Of like, here's how it can hurt you, here's how you can stay safe, right?
Yeah.
Where this one, the rule set is there's a cursed tape, and if you watch it, you're gonna die in 7 days. Good fucking luck.
Yeah.
And
Short
already,
and sweet, to the point.
already the movie has like won me over with that because like, oh, okay, I've just accepted that. That's
Okay.
just the thing that's just gonna happen. If I see something that's evil, I die. That's how it works.
You don't get the chance to say something. You just see something.
And there's so much great build-up, tension, and release throughout this entire short. There's only 2 characters in this. We never see them again for reasons we're about to find out.
Yeah.
Because they talk about this tape. Now it's just kind of this weird lingering threat that's in the scene, even though they've moved past this point now.
And both of them have that real, like, okay, I heard what we're talking about. We don't believe it. We kind of believe it.
We
and
kind
they're
of
just
believe it, but we don't believe it. We're just going
Yeah.
to pretend that everything's fine.
Yeah. It's like 2 dudes that are having a conversation realize that they like the same girl, and they're like, "No, it's fine that you did. It's good, man." It's like,
How are we on time? So they're giggling. They're having a fun time. The phone rings. And now, all of a sudden, wait a sec. Is this a real threat? What's happening?
yeah.
But Tomoko picks up, and it's just her parents. The baseball game's running late. There's no need to worry.
No. Extra innings in baseball, that's the most leisure. Nothing wrong with this
Nothing
thing
wrong
ever.
at all.
Yeah. Extra
hangs-
innings means it's a stalemate. Everyone's bored and happy.
Everyone's bored.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like,
She hangs up the phone, goes back downstairs. All of a sudden, she hears the TV turn on with that sweet tube TV sound effect of it turning on. Oh, man. I miss the feeling of, like, the hair raising on the back of your neck with CRTs.
oh, yeah. Where the hair would stand up and go towards the. Yeah.
Yep. She hears that, turns around, and all of a sudden, there's just this weird harsh cut to negative. And then we get our title screen.
Yep.
I love this setup because
It's great.
it is like 5 minutes maybe, and so much is done with just 2 characters and some dialogue.
Yeah, and the tension in the room stays the entire time. I am on the edge of my seat, and then also personally fanboying a little bit because it was either like right then or right before I learned that this is a Toho movie. And I don't know anything about Toho other than I was raised on our forefather Godzilla.
Hell
and
yeah.
I've seen so many of those movies that when I saw the Toho thing come up again, I did have that like nostalgia blast. And then that was the opening of the first thing again, and I am buckled in. I'm ready for the rest of the ride.
Good. So I want to know your feelings though on this opening, right? Of
Yeah.
just kind of like, where are you when watching this, pretty much?
Well, I was trying to compare it to a like a different movie that may be more well known, but I can't even think of another one that grasps you in so quickly and kind of spoils the entire story, but then leaves enough mystery like right afterwards for you to be like, okay, I'll keep watching, even though like you think you know exactly what's going to go down for the rest of the point now. And no, I mean, as far as an easy way to grab you in, I don't know if it's ADD or just me being an asshole, but like I'm not to the Subway Surfers level of like can't focus on a movie, but I'm definitely like I have to a lot of the time force myself to do it. Like unless I'm watching it in a theater, like I have to turn my phone off and put it in the corner and just like really let it go. I had no problem with this opening. Just like, okay, what's going on? So
Just hooked you right from the start, right?
yeah.
Good. We're going to have to get you a bigger TV so that way you can pay attention to these movies better.
yeah. Well, when this podcast blows up, I'll just buy a local theater.
Hell yeah.
like
So after our title crawl, we cut to our main character, Asakawa, who's a journalist. And she's doing this story on a cursed tape. So she's interviewing a bunch of teenagers about it. One thing I didn't notice until rewatching it again is that the story that these kids tell, all of them are different.
oh, really?
Yeah.
I didn't
and
notice
like,
that either.
even from the opening scene, the story is a little bit different. Because opening scene was like, we found this cursed tape.
Yeah.
And then the journalism portion of it, when Asakawa is interviewing these teenagers, one of them's like, oh no, it was a channel. So if you're just channel surfing late at night, you're going to catch it. And then this other one said something else completely different, right?
Yeah.
And that's something that I loved about the story structure of this movie is there's all of these rumors kind of floating about.
Yeah.
And then it's our main character's task to discover what's really happening. And then we'll find out later on, by the time she does learn the truth, it's too late.
You know what I loved about this is Asakawa, is that her disposition throughout specifically the first part of this movie is the most happy, cheery, like, and she's talking about the subject the entire time. And so this is just more classic evidence that women have always loved murder. But it just really, like, it didn't bring me out of the movie, but it did, like, something I noticed right off the bat was just like, for someone going around to people speaking crazy tragedies, like, she's really stoked about it. She's really happy. You know?
I wonder, that's probably like an unintended thing, right?
Yeah.
But you make a point of just like her being a journalist. She's like, dead kids? I got to put that in my paper. It's going to sell so well.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
but she's like investigating the story, and it turns out that like there's actually something to it because these kids do end up dying under mysterious circumstances.
yeah.
We see her. We then cut to her back at her actual office at the newspaper, right? And she's telling other people to look into these stories, figure out more about these two kids that were found dead in their car after they saw this tape, supposedly, allegedly, right?
Yeah.
She doesn't really buy into this at all, but she's still looking into it. She then goes home, and it's here that we meet her son, Yuichi, where for like the second that you meet him, you kind of realize it's not like there's something off about him. It's just that like he's supposed to be 3 or 5, and he's already like a functioning adult.
He's so much more responsible than me.
Yeah.
Like I was noticing that the entire time where I was like, damn, you got polite, you have work ethic, you have the whole and you're a child. Like I don't know where he is today, but something tells me that Japanese child stars may have it better than American ones.
I would hope.
Yeah, I think
God, I would hope
yeah,
so.
I don't know if cocaine makes it over to that island, but
Definitely, yeah.
yeah, like
But Yuichi is definitely like mature for his age. He's had to raise himself. And later on, we cut from there. We get a good look at like their dynamic. You can tell that Asakawa is a single mom. Yuichi has to basically raise himself as like a result of that.
Yeah.
She's kind of too transfixed in her job.
she's really stoked about it.
Kind of is like a little bit of a shitty mom of just straight on like, you're fine. You can be by yourself. Who cares?
Yeah,
You have a TV. You have friends at school.
I mean, what a cool mom, honestly.
Mommy's got to go write this newspaper, okay? You expect me to pay for this apartment by myself? Well, I have to. You got a job yet, Yuichi? No, you're lazy. That's why.
Look at your parents. Oh, shit, you got to drop the S? Sorry.
Yeah,
I got to make
sorry.
twice the income now.
Yeah. So later on, it turns out that it is Asakawa's niece who died in the opening. And they end up having to go to the funeral. And it's a pretty somber scene, but then we get a really cool, unsettling portion where Yoichi notices somebody just running upstairs into his cousin's room. But when he goes up there, he's by himself. And there's this great shot of when he goes up by himself, it's really just him alone in a hallway.
Yeah.
But the way it's lit and the way the music is just kind of subtly there, but not really there.
So dark. It's so clingy.
There's so much tension. And this is different than just like building up to a jump scare.
Yeah.
It is Yuichi's going into this room. I don't want to know what's in that room. I would be perfectly fine if they just left and went away.
At this point, not knowing 100% how the demon lady does her thing, I kind of thought that it was it was going to be like a quick serial kill, like right there kind of thing.
That'd be pretty bold of just immediately murder Yuichi like the second that it starts.
Yeah, he's way too smart for that anyways, but...
But I just love how, again, it does so much with so little. It is just a shot of a kid in a hallway, and it's terrifying.
I mean, out of all the scenes in the movie, that was one of them that is still implemented in my brain, and nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
Nothing happened.
He's just in the room. His mom's like, hey, don't be in here.
Yeah, and he was,
And he was.
and he almost died.
Almost.
In our minds, but
probably.
not in real life.
Not in real life.
Like,
The next day, and this is where...
really quick, I want to go back to my favorite part in this scene, but only because it's I was raised with my mom and my grandma both come from like a really, really big family, and at all family events, I would like hang out in the kitchen with all of the ladies.
Hell yeah.
And dude, doesn't matter what culture you're from, leave it to the ladies in the kitchen cooking to spread all of the gossip.
All the gossip.
Because did you notice when the main character went, that's where she got all of the dirt on everything.
Oh,
which is
yeah,
all the
that's
women
right.
doing everything, and that was the first thing I thought of, which is like, oh yeah, you don't want to hang out with the dudes at a funeral if there's any mystery going on. Like, you go straight to the chatterboxes. All right.
And it is where she hits up some key information of just like, she's like a little kid. She just died, and it's a closed casket funeral. What's going on? Nobody knows what's happening.
Right. Closed casket being the craziest thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
We go to the next day. I'm glad that you brought that up because that was a pretty interesting part of the scene.
Right. Yeah.
So we go to the next day, and it's Asakawa and her assistant, who I'm pretty sure doesn't even have a name. And they're reviewing footage on this old analog tape machine.
Yeah.
Not a VCR, as us boomers call it, but this is like a full-on, like, actual machine dedicated to being able to manipulate tape, like, frame by frame.
Yeah.
They're going through it, and they watch, and they see the footage of these two characters, the ones that were brought up over in the opening scene about the kids dying, right?
Oh, right. In the car?
In the car,
Yeah.
and we get a glimpse of their bodies.
Yeah.
And how they look like... It's just this great shot. The bush there's like a bush that obscures this woman's face, but she looks like she just was screaming to herself and was like literally scared to death.
And the rigor mortis doesn't set in that fast.
Exactly.
And the craziest part was when they were saying that the doors were locked from the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And then also that, already concludes, unless, I don't know how nice the car was. Maybe the car had a screen in it or something. But that concludes my thing immediately, where when, in the start of the film, when I was hearing how everything was going on, I immediately was like, yeah, I'll watch it, and then we'll just go to some remote island somewhere and live in peace and never die. And
Never die.
These people were not around screens at all and
No,
still died.
and they still died.
Yeah.
From there, to get more information, she visits her sister. And her sister, obviously, is the one who suffered a loss. And the silence in this scene is just palpable. And I think it's another thing about this movie I really like, because it really takes its time to show grief.
Yeah.
Because death is a big deal, as it should be.
Yeah.
In this movie, right?
Especially circling around kids.
Exactly. Like, we just watched a bunch of slashers where like teenagers would get cut to pieces, and then everybody would just move on the next day like it didn't matter. Right?
But then again, she's going to have to try really hard to wipe the enthusiasm off her face. She's like, oh, your kids died.
Oh, that's so terrible. Can you tell me some more into this recorder?
Yeah.
Tell me more about this, right? But Asakawa hears some laughter, goes upstairs to investigate. I know a lot of my peers in horror will say that The Exorcist 3 is the greatest jump scare in history.
Okay.
I will respectfully disagree.
Yeah.
I will say that my favorite is a tie between this and the American version of The Ring.
Okay. Same scene?
Same scene, same, I found my daughter right here in the closet.
Oh, right.
And then there's no scare cord. There's no sound. It's just a really hard cut to a closet door opening.
Yeah.
And that fucking body
is
so beyond like traumatizing.
Mangled with like a scream look on his face. Like, yeah. I thought that level of how is it jarringness or how heavy it jarred you? I don't know how to throw that word in there. But how almost out of place it was, and it was just thrown in there, actually worked wonders for the pacing of the movie too. Because it kind of had that slower drama feel in the beginning then, and then when you just like quickly throw that in, it brings you out, but in a good way. Like, it brings you out of what's going on, makes you realize that the thing is way bigger and way more terrifying than just the off-screen deaths that we've seen so far.
We don't know what that something is yet, but holy fuck, do we get to it. I want to know what's going on through your mind first time you saw that scene, because that is one of my absolute favorite parts of this movie.
I just thought it was a really cool, quick, moving way to like tell you more without any more exposition, and then the way that the mother just breaks down after seeing it too. It's like that was gut-wrenching. Just watching it, feeling for like any parent out there to like, oh fuck, like like it pulls you out of the fact that it's a horror movie and puts you back into the fact that these are just like stupid teenagers that are running around, and then like the mom has to deal with it for the rest of her life now, and she unfortunately saw it. Like that's the worst part. But
yeah, I can't imagine finding like your own kid's body. That has to be something else. Jesus.
Yeah,
That's pretty heavy, right? And like it goes to show that like everyone in this movie, regardless of how long they're on screen, feels human. You feel for Aunt. Do you even know the aunt's name?
No.
Exactly. I don't either. But
I feel
holy
for her.
shit, you feel for her.
Yeah.
And, like, it feels human. It's relatable.
Yeah.
And it goes to show, too, that, like, there is never a point in time where I'm going, no, why are you doing that? Right? Because at this point, our character is so well established and her motivations are so clear. We know exactly what's going on in her head.
Yeah.
Like, she doesn't even need to say anything.
Right. Well, I mean, she says it all with her eyes, as in, like, I love this.
So at one point, she's able to find like a photo, like a film reel that hadn't been developed yet. So she's able to get that developed, and it's there she finds another huge clue of not only the cabin that the kids went to, but after a certain time, as she's going through, maybe this was a little bit before your time. See, before we had these things called cellular devices, we had to take pictures on what's called film. Do you know? Have you heard that term before?
You know, only in hushed whispers, but I hear that there's some people that really like shooting on it.
Yeah.
But I also hear that they're fucking dorks.
They
So,
are.
like,
Christopher Nolan. Loser. Anyways, so she finds a reel of film and has to go get what's called, okay, tell me if you're lost here, all right?
Okay. Hanging
She has to get the film developed.
Developed into what?
Pictures, also called
So it's kind of
film.
like a Pokemon?
A little bit, yes.
All right.
It is.
You put it in the incubator chamber, feed it some rare candies, and then film turns into
and
pictures?
then it becomes a Mewtwo, yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay. At this point, I don't know why we switched to cell phones.
I know this could be lost on you because this is definitely before your time, right?
Yeah.
That's another thing I loved about how just analog this movie was. We'll get into it later, but
Now it would be a viral clip that they're sending everybody.
exactly,
Like,
yeah. So she's going through all of these photographs. I don't know.
Photographs.
Not the thing that you have
Nickelback
to swipe
sang
through
about
on your
that once.
phone.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
that's my
yeah.
favorite song ever, by the way.
Yeah.
Whenever he says look at it, I feel compelled to.
Ah.
So she has to flip through these, and then the date is imprinted on the images as well, right?
Uh-huh.
And after a certain date, all of a sudden, their faces are just distorted on film.
Yeah.
And it's at this point, too, you can really tell that Asakawa is thinking to herself, there is a lot more to this than I originally believed. There's definitely something going on here. And in these photos, you can see that there's like the cabin that they went to pretty much, right?
I think that these scenes were her realizing that she believes it now. I don't think she fully believed it in the start of the movie. Again, way too cheerful for the full effect. But after this, I do think that this is the point of the movie where she's like, okay, this is real. Although, I believe that, but we'll get to it later. She still fucking watched this thing. But yeah.
So she ends up going to the cabin, investigates a little bit further, is able to find the exact place that the kids were hanging out in.
Yeah.
And not only that, as she's there, she's trying to check in and then sees a shelf of tapes. And all of them have spines on them. They're in like cases. I can't read a single one of them because English is the only language I barely have a grasp on.
Yeah.
But there's one of them, mysteriously, that has no box, no nothing. It is just a black spine on the shelf.
Yeah.
And she goes, hey, that one over there. Let me have that shit.
This is when I do start standing up and yelling at the TV. Because, I mean, like, at first I kind of thought that she was going to just take it and just, like, I don't know. I really don't know. She has the technology. She could just take the film out, put it under a scope, and just see what it is without actually, like, playing anything.
Maybe that would kill her too, though.
And that's true. But either way, yeah, that's when I get a little vocal and just be like, what the fuck are you doing, lady? Get out. Like,
this whole story structure, I feel like, goes all the way back to the 1800s with Lovecraft.
oh, yeah.
So a lot of Lovecraft stories are there's an intellectual, somebody who works in like the sciences or something, right?
Yeah.
And then is confronted with the supernatural. And because the supernatural contrasts so much with what we know with science,
Yeah.
It's one of those things where you can only see it or you can only believe it once you really see it.
Right.
And so we go back here. Her motivation being when she watches that tape, right? I know you and I have already believed in the curse, but
Yeah.
she doesn't. And
That's a good
now
point,
seeing
yeah.
is believing. And oh my God, does she fucking see it?
Yeah. Yeah. Oof.
Was this your first time ever seeing the cursed tape scene?
Yeah. Oh yeah. It was my first time seeing anything on it, and in fact, uh, we can get into it. I don't know when the proper time to get into this is, so I'll just say it now. I didn't realize that like the ring didn't have any rings because like because the ring is actually for the curse's perpetual looping kind of thing that it has to it, and so I thought the ring had something to do with the same one in Lord of the Rings, but it had nothing to do with that. And it's only because I saw like the things on the American posters with all the rings in it, and I was like, oh, this is probably gonna be a part of the plot sometime. And then I saw the video, I was like, it's got nothing to do with rings, huh? And
You didn't actually think there was going to be a physical ring in the movie, right?
I thought there could be something.
You just put on the retract curse ring.
Yeah.
And then you're...
I mean, how else is the pretty girl gonna make it? I don't know. Like,
So you must have been really disappointed when Jason Voorhees wasn't in Friday the 13th, Part 1.
yeah.
And then doubly so when you're watching this whole movie sitting there like, when are they going to get to rings?
Yeah. I mean, there was not even Adam Sandler being a horrible gambling degenerate. There was no jewelry whatsoever. But
I love that movie so much.
yeah. Fun fact about the cabin. I don't know if this is intentional or not because they obviously speak Japanese and wrote everything in Japanese, and that's the world that they're in. But the cabin, it was before, and I just had a nice little laugh of like, oh, the before times.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Like,
Well, speaking of before times, this movie would not work anymore if it was in 2008 instead of 1998.
which is so unfortunate because you did give me 2 copies. You gave me a VHS copy, and you gave me your box set Blu-ray copy, which, by the way, looks gorgeous.
It does. That movie's amazing in 4K.
Yeah, it's insane. But I did give a good college try to try and procure a VHS player. Like my grandparents have one.
Yeah, what?
And I have a VHS player.
What do you call it?
VHS player.
Why do you call it that?
Because it plays VHS. What,
How
a tape
old are you
player?
again?
I was born in '96. But also, my
Okay.
family didn't have a TV till I was in like middle school.
Oh, yeah. So,
Yeah.
that's right. I forgot you're Amish.
Yeah. Like,
Okay. This is some wisdom being passed down from a boomer to a zoomer. Are you
Okay.
ready? Okay. It's not a VHS player.
okay.
Okay. It is a VCR.
Video. What does it stand for?
Video. I forget what the C stands for, but the R stands for recorder.
Video counting recorder.
Video
You put
counting
in
recorder.
one, it
Video.
says-
Oh my God, I am stupid. Video
What?
cassette recorder.
Oh yeah. That's awesome.
So I'm only a fake boomer.
Yeah. No, I mean, like I had tapes growing up. I mean, like my friends and family had. I watched tapes. I remember we had some, but yeah, my family just didn't have a TV for the longest time. And by the time we got back into the game, it was DVD City.
Yep.
So it was long gone. We were updated. All right.
I love how this movie is almost like a, I don't want to say time capsule, but it to me, there's like a feeling of like it's expressing love for analog technology.
That was a really cool thing for it too, because this was the sweet spot, and I think we really did, like, as a human race. Not me, unfortunately, I was alive in this time, but I was not an adult functioning in society. But anywhere from like 95 to like 2005, where you got the benefits of technology without the just over encompassing stress of having it be everywhere in modern life. Like, we peaked there.
Mm-hmm.
That was that, and it was cool to see. They looked happier, they looked freer, and now it sucks because a whole awesome plot of a movie could never be done again because
I was actually just gonna say, now that we're in where we're at, now we can never get cursed by evil videotapes.
no,
So,
it's true.
Honestly, take the good with the bad.
That's not bad, but now we're gonna have to deal with those rising rent hikes.
Oh, yeah.
Like,
Yeah, you're right. We need to go back.
yeah. Let's go back. Let's go.
I don't have to pay rent if I die from a cursed tape, though.
Let's get those VCR players back then.
I'm glad you're learning.
Yeah,
Finally
yeah.
learned something here on Spooky School.
Yeah.
So, what's going on through your mind the first time you have seen this? I have a, like, I want to say personal, I don't know, personal connection's the best way to say it, right?
Mm-hmm.
The reason why I love that scene so much is because that was the first time I had ever been exposed to avant-garde filmmaking.
You're listening to the Spooky School Podcast. Be sure to leave the video a like, as it really helps out the channel. Subscribe for weekly podcasts delivered to your inbox every Friday. Now let's get back to the show.
Yeah.
Which is something that, like, I took with me all the way from film school till now, right?
Yeah.
And trying to hunt down movies that made me feel the exact same way that I felt the first time I saw that tape scene. What is going through your head the first time you watched that?
From a more simplistic mind, it was, why'd you put that fucking tape in? Why'd you put the fucking tape in? Why'd you put the fucking tape in? But no, the quick cut, like, it felt like a disgusting late 90s or early 2000s metal music video. And just this weird, like, nonsensical at the time, like shots that were going on. And it felt very cool, almost like not as creepy as I thought it was going to be, but just like a really cool array of like all these different, like, almost artsy but nonsensical, like, what the fuck is going on here?
You are actually so on the nose with that now that I think about it, dude. Can you
Right?
imagine if she puts in the tape and then it starts playing, but then Head Like a Hole by, like, fucking Nine Inch Nails starts
Dude,
playing?
yeah,
underneath it?
exactly.
It would fit. It would literally be perfect for that.
You wouldn't have to edit it.
Yeah,
That's
exactly.
it. Yeah. Someone bust out a 7-string guitar and do some like, that's all you need. Like, but yeah, the first thing I thought of after watching it was definitely music video. And I mean, I bet there's plenty of awesome rock and metal bands in Japan that have, like, played into that too, but I wonder if there's any over here. I can't think of them. I also don't really watch music videos, but I can't think of anything or any band that would use it either, but yeah. If it's still on the table.
We should use it.
Yeah.
Why not?
Yeah. Actually, it would be cool to do a shot-for-shot remake of the videotape.
Yeah.
Yeah. I'll be the girl combing her hair.
I'll be the guy with the towel on his head pointing at something off screen.
Yeah. But this is where the soundtrack really played off to me, speaking about music as a whole, but kind of the screechy soundtrack during the tape the whole time. I thought that was really really neat. But yeah, just leaning into the music video format.
And then once the tape is over, another good jump scare. One that, like, kind of really took me off guard and still gets me pretty much every time.
Yeah.
The tape is over, it stops playing, and in the reflection on the TV in the background is Sadako.
Yeah.
There's no scare chord.
Nope.
There's no, like, ooga booga booga. She's just there.
Just there.
And, like, you don't need that scare chord because it
No.
still gets you. It still makes you go, oh,
Yeah.
God. Yeah.
Yeah. And then turn around and she's not in there. It's
She's
like,
not
what
in there?
dimension do you float between?
Mm-hmm. And then
Yep.
phone rings and the countdown begins.
Yeah.
And this is where it really, really starts to pick up because now we're running out of time. Our main character has 7 days to live.
7 days.
We are then introduced to Ryuji in the next scene. I love how he's introduced because it's the next day. It is pouring down rain. And Ryuji has an umbrella and he walks past Yuichi. I believe that's the son's name.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he walks past Yuichi and they make eye contact and they don't say anything, but it's still weird.
I thought that was so odd the first time watching it, just like, because he kind of seemed like a bad guy for a second. And then Yoichi is just way smarter than me, so he's probably
He
like,
knows the
what
vibes
do you
are
want,
off.
man?
Yeah.
Whatever. But then learning that was his dad is also just a wild, like, I mean, how many... There's a lot of crazy father-son relationships out there, but that's not even saying anything and just looking at each other has got to be just one of the wildest. And the kid's like 5. And he already has
And
this
he's
relationship
already,
with his dad.
Yep, better, smarter than us, that's for sure.
Yeah.
So he's not, Ryuji's not the typical horror movie bad boyfriend
Yeah.
because Asakawa brings him over, explains the whole situation.
Mm.
And if this was written and directed by like anybody else, it would probably be like, a haunted tape. Babe, you hear how crazy you sound right now?
Are you off your meds again? Oh my god.
Yeah, are you sure that's really what's going on? No, he's just like,
No.
dude, I'm going to die? Fuck yeah, show me.
Yeah. Let's wrap it up.
Let's
It's
wrap
getting
it up,
old.
baby. I've been here way too long. Let's go.
If both of us die, neither of us have to pay child support. Let's do it.
So he watches the tape. Like, he just volunteers. He's just like, I'm down. Let's do it. Let's hang out. And at this point, we don't really know the relationship between these two characters.
No.
Or why.
It was not unveiled for another maybe 45 minutes.
Yep.
Like,
And it is so... I love it because, like, there's no immediate exposition. You can just tell that these two are close somehow, and you don't really know why. There's a little bit of, like, hey, have you been? Oh, I'm good. I'm still teaching over at the school. Okay, cool. Hey, by the way, I have a death curse on me. Can you help me solve this, please?
yeah, hey, I got a problem. Oh, yeah, what is it? You need a little bit of cash? No, I need you to...
I need you to help me live.
Yeah. We're fighting ghost monsters now
Yeah.
from Toho, so...
You remember how you kept saying I shouldn't be a reporter? Well, I kept reporting, and it turns out I accidentally unleashed a death curse.
Just a simple death curse. One of the many, but this one is one of the scariest because little girl.
Mm-hmm. So, Ryuji watches the tape voluntarily, and then goes, make a copy of this, and let's figure out what we can do here. They go back to his place, and as they're trying to talk about weird shit that's going on, one of his students walks in. And it's kind of obvious there's a little something going on between the student and the teacher. And that's when Ryuji drops the bombshell of just like, oh, yeah, this is my ex-wife.
Such a sick way to unveil that. And, like, that student-professor relationship always...
And the whole dynamic between those characters now has become so much different after that one line.
Yeah. Yeah. And this is what I really liked about this movie. And, I mean, maybe it's just an overall cool thing that happens more in Japanese cinema, but I like how they don't shove anything in your face to try and make a point. It's like if I wasn't just sitting down and I was actually up and making coffee or whatever and I didn't, like, hear that line, like, I just wouldn't know.
Exactly.
I just wouldn't know.
Almost like you have to pay attention to the movie.
Almost.
Weird.
Yeah. But... it's pretty good.
It's another thing too is just like everybody in this movie is a mess.
Yeah.
Every person here has like their own like just issues going on. Nobody really gets along perfectly.
Even the student who went and like changed the equation on the board, that was hilarious. Where they as soon as she gets a moment alone, she's just like, ex-wife, huh? So subtract instead of add, asshole.
And so here is where the movie becomes an investigation. This is where the mystery elements kicks in because the rest of this movie from here on out and pretty much until the ending scene is just the investigation of what is this tape?
Yeah.
Where did it come from? What is it trying to say, if anything? We have Ryuji and Asakawa going through the tape frame by frame and trying to see if they can figure out anything in there. And because of the state-of-the-art tape technology that they have at the news station, they're able to hear like these weird frequencies that are going on inside the tape, get this message that's going through it. And then it becomes a series of scenes of them trying to track down everything that they can, especially with the word eruption being the key word here, the clue. Kind of tell me more a little bit about like what's going on in your mind as you're watching all of this unfold.
I love a heist movie, and this is what it started feeling like. And this is... for me, this is when the movie changed, and I already liked it before, but it was kind of like a slower drama. Would definitely still had me in, but where this goes is awesome, and I didn't see it for a single second. It really takes the tape and takes you to what is it, the Izu Peninsula, and this beautiful, beautiful island out in the middle of nowhere, Japan, where you get the stories of kind of more of the background characters, and this. I didn't expect the movie to evolve into this last third, but this last third was definitely my favorite.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This is definitely like the highlight of the movie for sure.
Mm.
It's like the adventure that they have to go on and figure out what's really
Yeah.
happening.
Save yourself.
And the whole time, too, is that they keep running into delays, they keep running into problems, and both of them are running out of time.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't even know where to like start when it comes to picking out some of my favorites. I love that they have to go to a library to look up like eruptions that happened around and try to like discover different. They're going through like archives of newspapers
Yeah.
to read all this shit, and it's just like, again, if this movie was made today, Control F, eruption.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. I
Yeah.
still have 6 days left to live. How about we go there in like 3 or 4 days?
Right.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna go on vacation.
Yeah. I mean, because if this doesn't work, I still would want to visit the bunny ranch.
Exactly. And at one point, Asakawa is pretty much useless. It's only up to Ryuji to figure out what's going on in this, right?
Psychic powers definitely give him an edge.
Give him an edge. But Ryuji is like, look, go spend some time with your father. Bring your son. Go spend the night over there. Just leave me to investigate. I'll see what I can come up with, okay?
Yeah.
She does exactly that. She spends the night over at her grandfather's house with her son. And all of a sudden, we cut to late night when she's fast asleep on the ground. And all of a sudden, she hears some strange noises. She opens up the door, and there's Yoichi in front of the TV who had just finished watching the curse tape.
Of course, because he's the smartest kid in the world. He's gonna find something weird. He's gonna be all inquisitive.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh, we're here for some reason. Does it have anything to do with this? Let me just watch it. Yeah, but I may have yelled at the screen at that point. You know, I may have said, "Hey, you dumb motherfucker."
Well, she yells at him too, and she's like, "Why the fuck did you do that, you dumb
Yeah.
idiot?" To which I'm screaming, "Why did you bring it with you, you dumb bitch?"
For real,
But-
yeah.
But it turns out the reason why he watched it is because he had a vision of his cousin saying, "You need to watch this tape."
Terrifying.
So now
Fucking
it's not
terrifying.
just Asakawa's life is in danger. It's not Ryuji's life that's in danger.
And somehow, the ghosts come back and they're in the ether. They're like,
It's if these two fail, now it is up. Or if these two fail, now Yuichi's gonna die. And so the clock is ticking even
the
faster.
smartest kid
stakes-
that's ever existed.
Pretty
is
much.
going to like, yeah.
So the stakes are raised even higher at this point. Our characters have to win.
Yeah. And if there's any way you want to amp up the standards, it's always to get the kids involved.
Get the kids involved.
It
and
works for
put
me
them-
every time. Does the American version have a similar thing that happens? Or
Oh,
did
yeah.
they wipe? Okay.
No,
Yeah.
Aiden is like Yuichi in this one. His name's Aiden, and he
All
is
right.
in peril throughout all of it.
Oh, is he as smart as Yoichi? Probably
Yes,
not.
and it's kind of implied that there's something wrong with him because he's so smart.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's really funny to watch. Now.
Yeah.
So they're going through different locations trying to solve this mystery. They end up on this peninsula where they're in a remote village, pretty much.
Hmm.
They go to, I forget if it's like a hotel or what, but it's one of the locations where they're able to track down the name of a psychic. And
Right.
this name has been popping up in their investigation quite a bit.
Uh-huh.
They go to this location. As they ask around, the locals are very worried. They don't want to talk about what's going on.
This is the village secret.
This is the village secret.
You don't divulge into it, foreigner.
And one of my favorite parts in that whole act is when they're running upstairs. I believe it's Ryuji, just looks behind him, sees a door, and opens it. And there's the mirror from the tape.
Yes. Yeah.
And that's when it really clicked with me. And I'm pretty sure this was already explained too, that there's no cameraman for that tape. What we're witnessing in that tape is memories.
Oh,
And not just like
yeah.
memories, but like convoluted, like abstract memories.
Yeah. Just an after-death recollection.
Mm-hmm. And it's through a series of events of investigation here where it turns out Ryuji has like some weird psychic powers. But that
Which
also,
came out of nowhere.
Yes
Yeah.
and no. I mean, we've been dealing with the supernatural the entire time.
Yeah.
Right?
It was a kind of sick drop to be like, oh, yeah, by the way, guess what I could do?
Mhm.
Which, again, it's the double standards, but I'm just picturing this in an American movie and having that just feel so sour, like in the ways that I'm predicting that they would do it in the standard, like, cinema of today. But the way that they just like brush past it and they're like, oh yeah, 70% of the movie is done. This character that's nearly a main character has superpowers.
Yep.
And it's just like, okay, down.
You know, it's funny that you bring that up because I want you to guess how the American version handles that.
They don't.
You're literally right. They straight up just don't.
Nailed it.
Yep.
Nailed it. Yeah.
Goddamn, you should make movies. Holy fuck.
Well, I could make movies, but I wouldn't watch them.
Exactly,
No, I'm kidding.
yeah.
Like,
I can't watch them either because my attention span issues.
yeah. Yeah.
So they track down this old curmudgeon fisherman.
Yeah.
He looks like an old piece of shit, but he really knows the truth.
Uh-huh.
And at one point, they confront him on a beach. And this is where the superpowers are introduced because the old man, I don't know why he tries to run. Those knees don't work anymore.
No. Why? Were you a track field star back then?
I don't think so.
50,
They don't have
60 years
tracks
ago?
here on this island, dog.
No. Yeah.
All they have is fishing.
Yeah.
So they tackle him. And as Ryuji just hold hands with this old man, he gets a psychic vision.
Those flashbacks were done so well.
So well.
Yeah.
And it turns out there was a town psychic. And the town psychic was having an affair with a doctor who was basically trying to exploit her for money.
Mm-hmm.
There is a press conference going on the island where one of the members of the press gets up and calls this town psychic a fraud. And that's the last thing he does because he goes like this, "Ah!" and then croaks.
Yeah.
And
yeah.
that's where we hear the name Sadako for the very first time.
Yeah.
Because Sadako runs out. You don't see her at all because of her hair is covered by her face.
Yeah.
And she rushes off screen.
This scene, this flashback, the way that it's set up was maybe my favorite part of the movie because it looks like super old, like military footage, and just the way that it was shot, presented, and like cleared it. You have to watch the movie just so you can see this part of it because it's hard to explain without sounding like something that's already there. But a little behind the scenes, the not the director, but the camera operator. What's the proper name for that?
Director of photography?
Yeah, the director of he went out and shot that scene and did that scene all without the director because the director was out doing something else. And that's like a little secret where the director himself still doesn't even know like exactly what went down to shoot those back in time scenes. And it totally feels that way because it feels separate from the movie.
It does
but
this
needs to be
really
there.
weird visual style of it feels like it was shot by a documentary crew,
Yeah.
but also somehow feels like it was like through the perspective of somebody in the room.
Yeah.
Like I didn't just feel like I was watching an archive of what happened there. I felt like I was there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
It was spooky wooky.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was really well done.
And I like how Sadako, they didn't try and put a face to her.
No.
You know, they still were just like, no, it's long hair over the face. She's a weird bird that can kill people with her mind now.
Just
you
with
know?
her
Like,
thoughts.
yeah.
Through more psychic visions, we learn the truth of what really happened to Sadako.
What really went down with this poor girl.
It is
He's also a
implied
murderer.
that this doctor, who is now missing,
Mm.
had an affair with the psychic that he was trying to take advantage of. And because of that affair, dearest Sadako was born.
Mm.
But Sadako is also what ruined his chances of making a fortune off of her. And so, in revenge, takes a brick and just smacks her over the head with the most stock footage Three Stooges sound effect ever.
Yeah.
Just cracks her against the skull
It
against it,
may as well say clunk in comic book
Yeah.
stands. like,
and then throws her at the bottom of a well.
yeah. That's deep.
Where is that well exactly? Well, Asakawa, being the genius that she is, realizes it's in the cabin where this all started.
How, like, that's a crazy pull that she just, like, knew it right then and there. And, like, not only that, but they, like, as soon as they rush over there, they don't even, like, check the front door or anything. They go straight to the under basement, and they're like, we need to find this well. We need to find this girl. We need to get going. We need to do 12 hours of manual labor.
Yep.
Like,
The connection being, though, is that she realizes at the cabin is when she got a phone call. But she never got a phone call over at her apartment. So the power must be originating from around there somewhere.
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm. They're supposed to get to where the cabin is, but they can't because the sea is too rough. No fisherman wants to take him over.
Bust out the popcorn.
Bust
out the popcorn. We are so yes, this is exactly what you need to help with the peak of this movie. Is let's throw in nature.
Mm-hmm. Even more obstacles getting in the way.
Right, and the raging Pacific as well.
Exactly, which is then even more interesting is when the old man that they've been chasing down is the only one willing to help them in the end.
He was such a badass in the end there. He's I think the actual line was my granddaughter wants to face me. I will my granddaughter wants me dead, so I will face her.
Yeah.
It's like go for it, bro.
Go for it. So thankfully they are able to cross the ocean and get there just in the nick of time. They have hours left.
Yeah.
Before our poor main character ends up dead, where they find a well underneath this cabin and then immediately start pulling up. And watching this again, I do have to admit, call the cops. 911, hey, I think there's a dead body at the bottom of this well. Can we just get a team out here, please?
It'll be so much faster than taking a couple rinky-dink buckets and doing it. And then also making the female do the bulk of manual labor, which, granted, sure, if there is a ghost body down there, the dude went down first to be like, I'll do this. But then that leaves the frail little lady to lift up for hours and hours and hours giant buckets of water.
He is kind of a piece of shit, so
yeah.
It is, yeah.
But she ended up doing it.
She went down there. He went down there first, found fingernails embedded into the wall of there, which was fucking gnarly.
Yeah.
God, that was gross because she was still alive trying to crawl her way out.
So gross.
They just keep trying to pull all this water out to find her body. And then they do, and it's the most gruesome reveal. It's so well done because there's so little gore in this movie.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure there's not a drop of blood in this movie, right?
I think you're right.
But she finds Sadaka's skull and moves the hair out of the way. And when she does, this ooze pours out of the eyeballs of the skull. And it's so disgusting. But at the same time, it looks like the skull is crying. It's happy it's got found. Right?
Yeah, there's some sort of piece that finally ended.
Exactly. And so our characters are able to find Sadako's body. The curse is broken.
They found it right after she should have been dead after the 7 days. So she's in the clear.
She's in the clear. And happily ever after.
And then that's when all the cops and everything try and
finally show up.
Yep. Yeah. Which, yeah, you're totally right. I don't think I'll ever watch this movie again not going you couldn't get a hose and make this a 10-minute job. But
I guess trying to explain to the police, no, there's a little girl and she's been down there for 40 years. And we know this because I got a psychic vision.
All right, that's true.
And no, look at these wrist marks that I have, or these marks that are on my wrist. This is definitely not from my boyfriend grabbing me. This was from a ghost grabbing me in the past when I went to go see a psychic vision.
That's so true. Maybe Japanese cops are a little more lenient, but any cop in America would be no.
No. What the hell are you talking about?
Yeah, absolutely not.
So they find it, and the curse is broken. The end, happily ever after. Credits start rolling.
That's what
this is where my VHS copy always broke. So if there is anything that goes on after here, I would never know about it. So
yeah,
great.
Great.
Wait a second,
psych. Yeah,
the greatest fucking psych in horror ever. Right?
Yeah,
it's just we think everything's fine, and then we cut to Ryuji, and he's home all by himself. I fucking love this reveal so much.
I did too.
Holy shit. Everything about it is just terrifying and overstimulating in some ways too. The TV turns on. Static starts playing. All of a sudden, the well is there.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget seeing this the first time. Being the fuck? The curse is broken. Why is that happening? What's going on here? And then all of a sudden, Sadako comes out of it. And she's on screen, and she zombie walks towards the TV. And I'm bro, that's fine. Whatever. It was weird.
Yeah.
Just unplug the TV. It'll be cool. She reaches out and crawls through. This has got to be one of the most iconic shots in horror ever.
Yeah.
Comes out of the television and crawls towards him.
Yeah. Do you know? Okay, so that crawl, I had to look it up because I was just like, what is going on here? So that was made by a kabuki dance guy that had this particular style of traditional dance that made it look unnatural, and to amp up the unnaturalness, apparently that whole thing was shot backwards and then played forwards, so it looks even more
Unnatural.
Yeah,
That's insane.
yeah.
That's such a cool trick too, because that always works. Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah. Just thinking about it gives me the heebie-jeebies. But yeah, obviously he thought he was safe because he's like, we lifted the curse. What is going on? We lifted the curse.
Not
What's
just
going
he
on?
thought he was safe. We thought he was safe.
Yeah. Sorry, bud, but you're not making it to the
You're not
second
making
movie.
out. All right.
Probably, I don't know.
Is this? Had you ever seen any of the imagery in this scene before?
I mean, I've seen scary movies, so I saw someone crawl out of a TV. But other than that, I had not seen anything else.
But you kind of didn't
Right.
know that was going to happen.
No.
Not through like
No.
cultural osmosis, not through like somebody telling you that's how the movie ends or anything like that.
No,
You were
certainly
you are
not.
raw dogging this movie for the very first time.
Oh yeah.
What is going on through your mind when you see this?
I was stoked. Because it got ramped up again, and I just cared about the lady way more. So she's safe, but now we really have to figure out the son. And so as this is happening now, we're getting kind of like a final kill, which is one of the most satisfying kills, and I think like the only full kill. I mean, I guess. Maybe if you don't count the brick smashing, but like the only full kill that happens in the movie the whole time, I think, you see the whole thing.
Yeah.
So this as a crescendo, everything leads up to like, oh, we think we're safe. And no, the monster has to eat.
Are you scared, petrified, horrified?
I was a little scared, but honestly, like I liked this a lot more than I thought I would because it didn't gross me out as like I was just assuming it. It didn't hit me with a bunch of like the jump scares that normally like really get me. The cuts were scary, but it was like I from the movies that I've watched already, it's already starting to like desensitize some horror for me. But then also right.
Good.
But then also just the way that this was done was so much more like in the lines with things that I like of it's more of a monster than the psychopath, and because of all that, I liked it a lot. I liked it a lot, and it wasn't even like that terrifying of an ending because part of me wanted Sadako to eat again. It's like you got to do something. Find your soul.
Seeing that for the first time was the first time I cursed in front of my mom.
Oh, really?
We were watching it together. When she crawled out of the TV, I screamed at the top of my lungs, "Holy!" And I got a little bit of an ass whooping for that.
Yeah, you got a shoe just hitting your cheek.
Boom, yeah. Where'd you learn that?
Yeah.
Like, that is one of those, I will never forget where I was when I first saw it, how it made me feel. Maybe it's part nostalgia as for why I love it so much, but I don't, that image of her just coming out of the screen.
It's fucking iconic.
Iconic,
Yeah.
terrifying. Doesn't matter what time period you show this movie to, it's always going to be scary.
It'd be scarier now because you're just coming out of phones. That's
Oh, they fucking tried that with this piece of shit American sequel.
Oh, no.
Like, I want to say it came out like not that long ago, 2014 maybe. I don't even want to look it up. It never happened. How about that?
Yeah.
Never mind. It just doesn't exist. But our main character, Asakawa, rushes over to Ryuji's apartment and realizes he's gone. And wants to know. She's thinking to herself, like, what did I do differently?
Yeah.
How come
she lives?
How come I lived? He died. And how can I apply that to my son? And this is where it really comes in. She figures it out.
This is where the ring comes in.
This is where the ring comes in.
This is it. This is where they really...
The real way that you're supposed to survive is you're supposed to make a copy of the tape and show it to somebody else.
Yeah.
And she's driving down the street with the VCR in the back. VCR
VCR.
in the back.
Yeah.
and is on the phone going, "Hey, Dad, I just need to show you something real quick."
Yeah. Don't worry
Yeah,
about
Yuichi and I are going to be on our way here pretty soon.
it.
Drives off in the distance, and this giant thundercloud is in the sky.
Yeah.
It's done so well, and you realize
So
that
good.
this is a ring that's never going to close, and it's just going to keep looping and looping and looping and looping.
It's crazy that she went with her dad, though. I mean, like,
He's on his way out anyway.
I kind of figured because it's like he is an older guy, and that is a nice house. So, like
He's got a
yeah. But too, it's like you didn't have one high school bully, like, like
or like the old fisherman dude who like helped him out.
right.
Yeah.
Right.
She's like, hey, can you come to this island real quick? I just want to show you something.
Maybe that would actually end the ring because it's the grandfather, or not grandfather. No, just someone who knew. But it was someone who she hates anyway. So, like, but yeah, what an ending to a movie.
How do you feel about this movie?
It's great. This is my favorite movie you showed me by far. This is honestly a new favorite in just the realm of like all things sci-fi, horror, monster. Like I did not know what to expect. You compared it to Dracula, which
Yeah.
I thought was really really cool, and I totally picked it up. Like yeah, Japanese Dracula, but with a terrifying little girl.
Mm-hmm.
You know? But no, this immediately jumped to one of my favorites and gave me a whole new appreciation for because I mean. Yeah, maybe this is a little prejudice, but when you originally were like, we're getting into Japanese horror, I was like, oh, this is going to be over the top. And, like, it's going to get fucking nuts.
Oh, it
if
will.
there's
It's not yet.
Right. Where this was a really good just introduction where, like, this, forget about where it's made or what it is. It's, like, just a genuine classic.
Yes.
And one that you can watch with the subtitles on.
Should watch with the subtitles on. I'm actually not sure if there is an English dub to this movie, but
I looked for it on the Blu-ray and it wasn't there.
so I'm hiring if anybody wants to be a podcast host with me and do this, knows how to read.
I'm sorry. It takes so much time.
I'm moving on. I'm getting so actually triggered right now. I just got to move on. I got to let go. It's going to be fine.
Yeah.
I'm glad that you like this. I wanted to save how I felt for it at the end of the discussion because I can say without question this is my favorite horror movie ever.
Nice. Yeah.
Like this is number one for me, especially rewatching it for like the 1,000th time for this podcast again, right?
Yeah.
I have always said whenever people ask me like what's my favorite, I have trouble picking between Dawn of the Dead and Evil Dead 2 because I remember seeing those movies and those were the films that made me want to make films.
Yeah.
But Ring is the kind of movie I want to make. And not just in the sense of like atmosphere, terror, dread. It's not just one of those movies where you see a guy get cut in half and you laugh at it for like a half hour.
Right.
This movie lingers with you. Like you think about it hours, days even after you see it, right?
Oh,
yeah.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And that's the kind of thing that I want to make. Also, because I want to make the one kind of movie where everybody rips it off for the next 20 years.
Which is exactly what happens with this one.
I can't even begin to name how many rip-offs of this film there are.
Well, actually brings me to a question. Sorry to derail you, but now this might trigger you as well. But
I'm ready.
When I was looking up like just the history behind it and IMDb and everything, that's when I realized that The Grudge and The Ring were different movies.
That's fine because like you're not as knowledgeable on this as I am, and that's one thing. But to say that you don't like to read makes me a little
It's hard.
Reading is easy. Shut up.
For some people.
Do you have a library card?
My wife does.
We're getting you a library card after this episode.
Okay.
All right, cool. I'm gonna beat the fundamentals of reading into you.
All right.
It's good for your brain. It makes you smart.
It is good. It is good. But it just takes me longer than most.
It's fine if it takes you a while, all right?
Yeah.
As Einstein probably once never said, if you judge a goldfish by its ability to climb a tree, you'll think it's an idiot.
That's a good quote.
Mm-hmm.
Did Einstein really say that?
I don't know. It's one of those things that's like associated with him where he's quoted by saying that, but
I saw Oppenheimer.
yeah,
He didn't say it in that.
not in that one.
No.
My favorite line from that movie is when he looked at Oppenheimer and went, "If only E equals MC cared." then maybe we wouldn't have to blow up an entire city.
Yeah. And then that's when Oppenheimer looked back at him and said, no, E does equal MC squared, emphasis on that outfit.
Mm-hmm.
And then it just turns into Step Up 2.
And then they start dancing.
Yeah. But yeah. You want to know a couple of random fun facts about
Give me the
movie?
random fun facts.
Dude, the UK release said we are not responsible for anything that happens after watching this movie, and caused the same sort of controversy that like the War of the Worlds radio show back in the 40s caused. For a brief moment in the UK with this going around, it did cause some like serious hysteria, which is sick because no press is bad press when you got a movie like this. Like,
I miss those days, dude. The power that this kind of cinema had of just like, no, if you watch this, you're actually going to die.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
people believed it. People thought Texas Chainsaw was real. The Blair Witch was real. It could actually hurt them.
Right. Which thinking Texas Chainsaw is real is hilarious because it doesn't even look like a found footage film. Like it's like, no, this is just a movie, guys. Like it.
No, but it's based on a true, real, actually happened story.
Right.
Yeah, and Leatherface is a real character who can definitely like come get you anytime.
Yeah, he knows where you live up here in Seattle from fucking Texas. A dude that hasn't been north of Oklahoma.
This will be a whole different section years from now, but there was a point in time called the Video Nasties in the UK where horror movies were banned. They were considered obscene if you were caught, not just like distributing, but having, right? If you had any of the movies that were on the Video Nasties list, you would go to jail.
That's awesome.
No, it's not.
No, obviously not awesome, but it's crazy, and it just in a sense of like, what year was this? Is this
70s, 80s?
70s, 80s?
Yeah,
dude, and jail time for it too.
Yeah.
I mean, people are complaining about weed, which I agree with, but we got to do a separate set for movies. Like that's wild. They should get all sorts of big checks. Like, but
I can't take an English person seriously on anything, but
it is funny. It is like every time that you open your mouth, it's like, you guys play pretend. You guys have a queen. Like you had now, but now they have a king. Suck it.
Pack watch, light him up.
Our queen is Betty White, bitch. Get a better one.
Isn't she dead too?
Yeah, so's theirs.
I guess so. Yeah.
Well,
ours is way better than.
Ours is Dolly Parton now.
Yeah, and she's gonna live forever.
Yeah, she's got,
fuck,
eternal
dude, breaking
juice.
news. Holy shit, Dolly Parton just died. Oh my god.
Who is it now?
It's gonna be Sadako.
Sandra Bullock's. No.
So I love this movie. It's my favorite horror movie of all time.
Uh-huh.
I have read all of the books. I own the box set of all of the like main lineage of movies.
Yeah.
I have yet to actually watch any of the sequels.
I felt compelled to watch the sequels because I had your box set, and I was like, that was great. What are the next ones? And if you haven't seen them, that makes me feel better for not digging into it from the time that I had your stuff.
There's part of me that just can't do it.
Yeah.
Of like, I hold the original in like so much admiration.
Yeah.
That I feel like if I watch any of the sequels and they're even slightly bad, I'm going to be like, oh no, it's going to hurt me right here.
That's a good point. That is a good point. I mean, now, again, normie take, but I loved the movie The Kingsman. It was freaking, like, I love a good spy movie. I love making fun of British people.
Same.
And yeah. And then the Kingsman 2 came out, and it was just like, I just had a hard time selling The Kingsman to people again after seeing the second one, and I was like, man, this is a pot movie. The other one is an all-time movie, but that's a pot movie, man, you know? Like, but I think a lot of people agree with you about Ringu because this is the highest grossing horror movie ever still in Japan today.
Wow.
Yeah, which is wild.
That is kind of wild, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we're well past the 20-year mark of it being a thing, and having it still be, I mean, I guess they have to release a bunch of horror movies, I would imagine, but
quite a few.
Quite a few.
I wonder, yeah, because like a lot of these, like especially here in the States, I feel like a lot of movies that have like box office records, right? Only get that way because movie ticket prices are so expensive.
Oh, that's a good point.
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just because the number of like the amount of money it made is not correlated to how many people went to go see it. You know what I
Uh-huh.
mean? Because like 30 million people could have gone to see The Dark Knight, but then after inflation and everything, only 10 million people go to see the Avengers. But then the Avengers ends up making way more.
Right. Okay, that does make sense. I didn't think of it that way because, yeah,
So when you say The Ring is like the highest grossing movie of
yeah,
like horror movie in Japan, I'm like, okay, either people aren't seeing horror movies in Japan,
no,
or movie tickets are still $1.
or maybe they're way smarter than us and actually do it by amount of asses and seats instead of overall.
Probably not,
But yeah,
but
yeah.
good positive thinking. I like that.
I like to think it, like, but
Any other thoughts, feelings, emotions on this movie?
I just cool fact is Shizuko, the fortune teller, was actually based on a real person.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, who was born in 1886 and who was rumored to have the gift of foresight. And then after a display in 1910, she was proclaimed a fraud and drank poison to end herself.
Jeez.
And so, kind of similar thing where the writer was like, "Oh, this is," and this said the writer. So I don't know if it was the writer of the movie or the writer of the book, but I read that a lot of this was inspired after he watched Poltergeist, which I could totally see after this.
If it's
Like,
the source material, then definitely Koji Suzuki, the writer of the novel.
okay, yeah, but yeah, it didn't specify which one either way, but it was cool. Oh, here's another punk rock thing about it. This movie, most of the film's budget was from the director.
That is pretty brutal, yeah.
Right. But this also shows the like passion that was like had to have gone into it, which totally shows in the filmmaking. Like if this was just a giant check from a studio and they had some extra cash for the concessions or whatever movie people call it, it's like it is. I mean, you hear these wild stories of just the food that they eat on set for all these high budget Disney movies and everything,
Yep.
and you know how these get stale. And this really does feel more like a pure vision all the way through, and I think that does come from just the stakes that he puts himself behind of like, I'm paying for this now, sorry.
It has to be good.
It's spam Masubi's for you guys, and that's it. Like, like good luck. But
It just goes to show the two, like, when you bet on yourself and you have the self-confidence to pull it off, it's not a gamble. It's a guarantee. Which is why when you go to the casino later and you have confidence and you bet on yourself and you put all that money into the slot machine,
put it in.
put it in, okay? Studies have
deserve it.
shown 99% of gambling addicts are about to hit it big on the very next one. Right before they give up
Yeah.
is when they win it all back.
You should do it. You should absolutely do
We
it.
love gambling here on Spooky School Podcast.
Yeah. I don't really know how movies are made. I love the research behind the scenes, but it's more of a love and not something that like I take seriously enough to like divulge into it to the scale of what you do and your passions and where you are projecting yourself in light. So I read this fun fact, and before I tell you what it is, if you were to make a movie of this magnitude with lots of actors, people, everything, you had crews, you had some bit of notoriety, from the start of saying we're going to make this movie to not when it's released, but when you have the final copy in your hands, how long do you think that would take?
Oh, geez. It depends on a lot of different things. I don't know. If you gave me the blank check and I was
Blank
able
check.
to get everything done,
Yeah.
I would say around the same time as a pregnancy, so 9 months.
Oh, wow. Right on.
Yeah.
Yeah. That means that this is crazy because that's exactly 9 months, but 1 week is how long that the entire film's production took place. From writing to getting a copy in hand. That
can't be true.
I mean, that's why I brought it up, because it seems ridiculous.
I
from,
wouldn't
like,
be shocked if it was like 1 week of filming. Like
Right.
if they just shot the whole thing in a week, maybe even then that's crazy.
Yeah.
There's
yeah,
no
yeah.
way. No. What?
That's what I read. That's
Who
what I read.
said that?
IMDb.
You bring IMDb to my house, I will fight them.
Yeah. Hear that, IMDb?
I'll beat the shit out of you.
Get over here to the undisclosed Greater Seattle location. Yeah. And we're gonna put your money where your mouth is, big boy.
Okay, can you read it to me word for word how it says that it was made in 1 week?
No. The entire film itself took 9 months and 1 week.
9 months and 1 week.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm the idiot then. I literally thought you just
You
said...
thought it was 1 week
I
of the
thought
whole
you said
thing.
they made it in 1 week.
No, I don't know if meth is that big in Japan.
Never mind IMDb. Our beef is squashed.
Okay,
I'm not apologizing, though. I wasn't I wasn't wrong at all.
You can still
I
come hang
definitely
out with
did
us.
not misinterpret what you said in the slightest.
Yeah.
It was your fault for saying it weird.
Yeah. No, just seeing 9 months, it really blew my mind because, like, I remember as a kid, shout out to IMDb.
Shouts out.
As a kid, I would go on, and then I would go to upcoming movies, and then I would just scroll. And I would just be like, what the fuck is coming out 3, 4, 5 years from now? And a bunch of movies didn't, but, it gets you hyped and it gets you, like, on something to, especially when they redid Godzilla in 2014, hearing about that, like, years beforehand, and then just, like, kept on refreshing that page, like, dude, when is it happening? So, yeah, just the fact that the announcement, the everything took 9 months and 1 week is insane. But what might be even more insane is the Ring 1 and the Ring 2 were filmed at the same time.
I remember hearing about that, yeah.
Different directors, so of course maybe not the exact same time, obviously. Maybe it was like a quick, like, all right, this set is done, quick move on to the next one, because I know that there's a couple reoccurring characters just looking at the cast list for both. But that just blew my mind of, like, it's no Lord of the Rings where you make all three like at once and you're just there for years and years and years watching people grow old. But it still blew my mind that, like, you would just do that. You would have it written, get no feedback, and be like, here's the other one, and have it be like kind of a, it's not, I wouldn't imagine it was a low budget, but certainly like more on the indie brand of film than it would be on like a Fast and Furious 8, you know? Like, so, but yeah. But some more neat things that I learned about it is the quote, "You'll die in 7 days after watching a video" thing was actually a popular urban legend in Japan. So that itself is kind of like played off into where the story came from, and of course the invention of Sadako and everything. And then I didn't know this, but Sadako is, I don't know who to compare it to with the two countries, but like she's throwing first pitches at like baseball games.
Oh yeah,
like
I've seen
love
that clip.
her.
Yeah,
it's so sick. It is so sick, and I just couldn't picture us having Jason Voorhees and a freaking thing.
Well, that's
because
but we should do that.
Yeah.
I like going back to that urban legend part. There's a lot of Japanese like folklore and mythology. I'm no expert on that subject at all, but a lot of it gets pulled into this film. Like Sadako is not the first girl with long hair covering her face ghost. That has been a thing now for centuries. Before that movie was made. It's just this is the one there where it was used in that and it blew up into mainstream popular culture.
That makes a lot of sense. So, just out of curiosity then, what is the difference between The Grudge and The Ring, if I don't know about it? Or are we going to get into The Grudge?
We'll definitely watch some of the Grudge movies. This is all off the top of my head because I refuse to Google anything right now.
Cool.
So the Grudge movies started off as straight-to-video, and it wasn't until the third one that got super popular, I believe. We're going to fact-check here in a little bit. Cut to me fact-checking here. But, and I'm not sure because I've only seen a handful of the Grudge films. But the Grudge movies itself are basically a haunted house story. Of like the people move into a house, the house is haunted. There's a ghost. The ghost is very scary.
Okay.
There's a little cat boy that meows at you. But
there's a lot of those in Seattle.
There is, especially my house when I have boys over and I make them wear the outfit. Anyways, I do know for certain that there is like a Grudge versus Sadako movie.
Really?
Yes.
Like an Alien versus Predator kind of thing.
More like Jason versus Freddy.
Yeah.
And it is terrible in all of the best ways.
Because neither of those. Well, I don't know about the Grudge, but Sadako is not a fighter. She never laid a hand on anyone. She
Doesn't
just,
need to.
No, she just willed someone to death. So it'd be hilarious. To,
It is so fucking stupid.
Am I correct in assuming that there's some like really cool in the air long form kicks at each other? Because I'm only hoping.
I wish it would have made it better.
Okay, yeah.
Like the premise is so. It's like, okay, there's the house from the Grudge, and somebody is unlucky enough to go into that house and then also get cursed by Sadako at the same time. And now like the two are competing over killing the person. It is so bad.
All right,
You
I
have to
watch
see it
that.
because
Yeah.
it's just like it is so hysterical.
I'm in. I'm more than in. That's- Um. That was pretty much it on all the fun little. I did misspeak on something that I said. I said that it was someone else who did it, but it was the editor who made the flashback sequence, and he purposely kept it from the director for a bit of fun. But now no one knows like exactly how the footage was made. So maybe the director was on set, but compared to how it looks versus the rest of the movie, I
Okay.
guess is the mystery, which is neat.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah. And I don't know. I mean, they definitely had computers, obviously, but in 1998, are they editing on a computer or are they editing on cutting up tape?
I'd have to look into that. I know for sure this movie was shot on film
Okay.
in 1998. Avid wasn't around, or at least mainstream enough, and I don't even know when Japan switched over to digital workstations.
Uh-huh.
So I have no idea. I'd have to look into that. I'm not sure. But if I had to guess, I would say this movie was shot and edited on film.
Pretty badass.
Let's how about we be informational and how was the Ring shot? Japan.
Dude, every time. Japan. We want the Japanese
We want
version.
the actual one, yeah.
When I search Godzilla, I don't want to see Matthew Broderick's fucking face anywhere.
And I can't find anything that actually confirms or denies. So, with my limited filmmaking knowledge, I would say that if it's 98, I'm going to say that this movie was most likely not edited on a nonlinear workstation. It probably had to have been used with some sort of either Moviola or something else.
That just makes it even cooler. I don't know. That flashback scene is my favorite part of the whole movie. But yeah, 10 out of 10 film. It's now my favorite horror movie. It was your favorite horror movie.
It is.
And thank you. It is your favorite horror movie. And thank you so much for starting me at this level, because now I go in with the rest of the movies with so much more confidence, fully knowing that you're about ready to tear it down somehow. But this was a new overall favorite, and I'm going to have to spend a lot of time just diving into Toho movies, because I've only ever cared about the monster ones, and this, I still count as a monster one, but was completely...
Forget Sadako versus The Grudge. We need Sadako versus Godzilla.
Absolutely. Are you kidding?
Sadako would win.
Yeah, I mean, have Godzilla watch on a big screen that they're like, watch this,
Yep.
Goji."
There's a reason why I want to do a whole semester on J-horror.
Cool.
Because it's not just one or two standout movies. I noticed there's a lot of commonalities in themes in quite a bit of these, right?
Yeah.
Japanese horror is a bit, for lack of a better term, more elevated. I hate that term so much, elevated horror, right?
Uh-huh.
But there's a sense of dread. There's atmosphere, with The Ring being a great example of that, because you could just feel dread with every shot in that movie, right?
With every little bit.
And in either a warning or just straight up fear of technology.
Yeah.
And technology being incorporated in that. And so I think the best follow-up for Ring is a little Japanese movie called Pulse.
Pulse.
I forget the actual Japanese title of the movie, but it is been translated into Pulse. And if you just type in Pulse, Japanese film. It's 2001. I believe it was called Circuit in Japan.
Okay.
But the movie deals with quite a bit.
All right.
It's not as gruesome as a lot of the movies that we've seen,
Cool.
but it will stick with you.
All right.
the way that like Ringu will stick with you.
Yeah.
At least it did with me the first time I watched it.
Okay.
And I feel like it, in a way, it is. I'll see if you agree with me when we talk about this. It is more relevant than ever.
Okay. That's exciting.
So join us next week as we go over Pulse.
Pulse.
AKA Circuit, AKA Japanese words I can't pronounce.
AKA type in Pulse Japanese movie, or else IMDb will take you to something that was made here. You don't want that.
You don't want that.
It's got a 40 Metascore. We don't fuck with that.
Thank you so much for watching. Until we meet again, my friends, take care and stay spooky.
You survived another episode of Spooky School. Be sure to leave a like on the video, subscribe for weekly content, and leave a review if you're listening on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Check out our Patreon page for extra content too hot for YouTube. Until we meet again, take care and stay spooky.